Welcome to the Primitive Lifeways channel. In today's video, I want to discuss certain items that I would recommend carrying in different regions of the Southwest. So stick around, I'll be right back with you. All right, folks, so I want to welcome you back. Now, before I get into this video, there's a lot of folks out there that have differences of opinion, and that's fine, that they'll carry different items. But I firmly believe every single environment should dictate your kit, and there shouldn't be just one specific kit and 10 specific items that you should carry in every single environment. Every environment has its different needs, and you must accommodate. And that's the essential of how we stay alive, and it's the essential of primitive skills, wilderness living, bushcraft, and survival skills, is understanding your environment, understanding its needs, and taking care of your priorities. So now I want to get into my kit that I carry here in Prescott, Arizona, Yavapai County. Now during the winter months, this does tend to change. I tend to add more items to it because I have a different set of priorities in regulating my core temperature and finding water to stay hydrated. So I want to cover the most important item of my kit, and I carry this season round, is water. I pack my weight in water. Out here in the West and the Southwest, we're going through a gnarly drought, and it is so important to stay hydrated throughout the day. So I carry 100 ounces of water in my camelback. It's secured into a pouch. I've went through thorns, I've went through mesquite shrub, I've went through bouldery canyons out here, and I've never had an issue with any tears on this pack, any tears on the water bladder. And I'm always cautious of where I go and how I move through the desert. So again, carrying 100 ounces of water is absolutely critical for me. I'm constantly keeping hydrated. I'm constantly chewing the end of this bit to get water out. And I'm taking care of my number one priority, hydration out in the desert. And then in my main pouch, I carry a large cotton cloth. Now, before I go out on a hike or exploring different lands, I soak this in cool water and I wrap it around my neck. That helps regulate core temperature, especially in the hot summer months. I have a length of rope. This is hemp. This comes in quite handy and it's quite universal. I have a small folding saw, a life straw. Again, I'm always thinking about water out here, that I can drink directly from the source. A small knife, excuse me, I almost said a folding knife. This is a fixed blade. It's a Moore knife. It's nice and thin and it's always sharp. I have a tarp. This is a 10 by 10. It's ripstop nylon. This comes in quite handy during monsoon months, where around 12 o'clock the clouds start to build. By 2 o'clock it starts raining, and we do have flash floods out here, so it's important to have a cover element that you can protect yourself under. In my front pouch here, I have sunscreen and a healing balm. I'll go over this in a separate video. This comes in quite handy. It's all natural and it's good for your skin. I have a couple whistles on rope. Sometimes I'll put this around my neck. It has a jet scream whistle and then a whistle made by Tops Knives. And then I have a signaling mirror. And that is my summer kit for Prescott, Arizona. Now I want to get into a different part of the Southwest and what I would recommend. So a few years ago, I lived in a suburb right outside of Phoenix, Arizona called Levine. It was a smaller farming community. And when I lived out there, I did a lot of hiking. I did some exploring, some adventuring throughout the Superstition Mountains. And I'll tell you folks, that area is no joke. It is very dry, it's hot, it's arid, and there's an extreme lack of resources in that area. So just to give you a perspective of what we've been going through this year, We've had record-setting temperatures, 120 to 122 degrees, and then usually it'll get about 114, 118 outside of these heat waves. So it's still hot, and at night it gets about 100 to 109 at night. It varies. So there is somewhat of a temperature difference, but it's really not that much. And even at 100 degrees, 107 degrees at night, it still feels like an oven. And that's how I would describe Phoenix, as an oven. When you get outside, it feels like you're just baking out in the sun. And it's so dry and it's so hot. You'll get these breezes that go through, but the breezes are dry, hot breezes. Once again, they suck the moisture right out of your body. 8 college students in their 20s went hiking up by Camelback Mountain. 4 of them died. 4 of them died from exposure, dehydration, heat stroke, and an inability to regulate their core temperature. So when thinking of that and when assessing the environment, you can now put together a kit, but it's important to humble yourself and learn from the environment. And once you humble yourself and you learn, then you can build your kit. So what do I keep in my kit? Well, I try to pack with a minimalist perspective, and I try to separate my needs and my wants, as well as my ego. So the environment ultimately dictates what you're going to carry. And in this case, I carry a small amount of items that take care of my priorities. My priorities are regulating core temperature and constantly staying hydrated and finding water. So I don't carry a lighter, and that can be very dangerous when out in an environment like that. 120 degrees, I don't want to make a fire. It's just going to raise my core temperature. It's going to make me weak, lightheaded, lethargic. If someone has heart issues, high blood pressure, fire thins the oxygen around them and it raises their blood pressure. So it can be a life or death situation when creating fire. But not only that, in the Superstition Mountains, there's an extreme lack of resources. There's areas you'll go into and you won't find any wood nearby. There's not a single twig in the area. It's just rock outcroppings and rock shelters with small pools of water. And when you find those small pools of water, it's critical to stay around that water, especially when you're lost, because you simply don't know what's ahead. And then regulating core temperature, well, in those rock outcroppings, you have a lot of natural shelters that create microclimates of shade. So that's where I've chosen to stay. And when I did some camping throughout that area, I would stay under these nice rock outcroppings or small pools of water, and I drank straight from them. So with that said, I want to cover each item that I carry in my pack. The first and most important item is my Camelback. I keep this full up to the top. I put some ice in it, so I have about a half a day's worth of cool water. And I do carry my weight in water. It's important when in such a hot, arid landscape with limited resources. And then in my main compartment, I really don't have that many items. I have a large cotton cloth. So throughout my stay, I submerge this in water and I keep it tight around my neck. Then I have my water filter. This is a Life Straw. The Sawyer Mini is also a good filter. I drink directly from the water source. So again, pockets of monsoon water from previous seasons. That's typically what you'll find. And I just drink straight from the source. I don't find it wise to boil water. By the time you first start to boil water to the time it cools down, you can very well be in the beginning stages of dehydration, even the mid stages. And then the last piece of kit that I have is my signaling devices. I have a signaling mirror and a couple whistles. So both of these whistles have different pitches on them. So once again, we'll recap. I have my Camelback, I have a water filter, signaling devices, and cotton cloth.